Hey, hello, good morning. Welcome to the Stokastic.com NFL Showdown Strategy Show. Dave Loughran and Greg Ehrenberg. Let's make it happen, man. We've got a little, I guess you could say, an interesting way to close out Monday Night Football. Not because it's the Chiefs and because it's the Jags, but more so, Greg, because while we do expect him to play, at least from the reporting that I saw yesterday, the whole Xavier Worthy thing doesn't make me feel super comfortable knowing that he practiced all week and then woke up on Sunday with swelling in his ankle.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly what to make of it either. On one hand, I'm kind of happy he's playing just because when I saw those reports came out, I really quickly tried to bet overs on Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster, and I didn't get the bets in on time. It locked. So then, just as like a selfish, not feeling FOMO part of this, I was like, oh, good, Worthy's playing or expected to play. I don't feel like I missed out on some sort of like great CLV situation. But at the same time, too, I'm with you in terms of I'm not comfortable with the situation either. I do feel pretty good that he's at least going to try to play, but does it mean he finishes the game? Does it mean he's effective? That part's kind of hard to know.
I'm with you. I tried to get there too, by the way. Like I was watching the games, I saw that. I was like, oh, well, let me jump in and see what's there. And everything was pulled. Like all the Jags lines were still up, but nothing else. And yes, apologies for the tardy start. It was only 2 minutes, but that is not on Greg. That's on me. I record a betting video on Monday and Thursday mornings. I was telling Greg, like, I don't know if any of you guys use StreamYard. It can be nice, but then also you'll finish recording a video sometimes and then it'll just spin the wheel on processing at 0%. And then if you leave, you might lose everything. So, anyway. Brandon Loughy, did you eat garden breakfast or did we have Wawa? No, Wawa's breakfast is not for me. I do like their rustic Italian paninis, and the gobbler should be back soon, which I'm thrilled about. But no, we just had, the basic eggs. We do it every single day. I hope you guys had a good week. Glad to be with you. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe, atone for your sins this fine morning, and leave a comment down below. Let us know your favorite spots or say whatever else you want. So yeah, Michael, good morning, guys. Signed up just last week and have already surpassed the weekly payment amount, plus a little more with $60 winnings. Thanks to your videos and parlays on tails. Keep up the good work. Awesome, man. Yeah, you ebb and flow with football, Greg. I've had like the first 2 weeks of the season for me, I'm like, man, this could be a long year. But then now I've had 3 straight weeks that have gone really well. So it's just next week might be awful, but you just, as long as bankroll management is under control, you just keep going until you hit one. I mean, that's all. As long as if you're building good lineups, that's really all that matters. Like go back, use the post-contest sim, see if you're doing something right, something wrong. If you're not building bad lineups, then, it's not great. But if you're building good lineups, you just stick with it. You would actually, I don't know if you mind sharing this. You don't have to, like, not all of the inside stuff, but you had mentioned to me after a show the other day that Steve Buzzard, CFO here, I believe, CFO, right?
Yep.
Was who 2 seasons ago in the playoffs won $1 million in the postseason and was not having a great regular season. And then he hit $1 million in the postseason in like the divisional round.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just, especially if you're somebody who only plays tournaments or primarily plays tournaments. Like I used to play a lot of cash games. I haven't played cash games in forever at this point. If I see overlay in a 50-50 or double up, sure, I'll enter that. But for the most part, I'm just playing GPPs. I know you just play GPPs. A lot of the guys here are primarily playing GPPs. Even if you have really good lineups, just because of the top-heavy nature, you're not expected to profit every single week. So, yeah, there could definitely be a grind with GPPs. It's also why it's really, really valuable to go ahead and look at the post-contest sims to see how are you expected to do. Because the reality is that on one individual given slate, even if, say, you have a 20% expected ROI, that doesn't actually mean you're expected to profit on that given slate. It just means over time, that's what your return on those lineups is expected to be. But yeah, there's a lot of variance in GPPs. And I saw you did really well. I forget, what was it? The $50 single entry you came in 7th in?
That was the fair catch, the $12. I just wanted to win it so bad because I didn't. I finished 7th. I was 3 points out of first because I tweeted this, Greg. I almost got laughed out of my own show for saying that, you might see some Jake Browning magic in garbage time with Chase Brown, and like Brown is single digit ownership. And then Browning got the ball back. I was in 7th. I was 3 points back of first, Greg, and he took a safety. But he was 1% owned. Nobody ahead of me had Browning or Chase or Jamar Chase. So like no joke, like 1 or 2 completions to Chase could have sealed the deal. It, however, did not. I texted Josh and I said, dude, if that won, Jake, I with a Jake Browning stack, I would have been insufferable come Tuesday on the First Look show. So good for you guys, because it did not win. But anyway, how was your week?
Really good I've been running really well in DFS this year. I haven't won any, I haven't like outright won any GPPs, but I've had a bunch of top finishes on Owner's Box. I've done really well in the large field contests and FanDuel and DraftKings. So I did really well from a DFS standpoint. Could not have won worse. For like anything that looked like a bad beat for betting, you could guarantee I was on it yesterday. I had a DeMarcado touchdown bet that I got really good odds on Kalshi.
That's a good one.
Like I felt like I was on a lot of good sides, and none of it. Like my bets to tails got crushed yesterday. My bets just in general didn't do well. But like I didn't look at it and be like, oh, these were bad bets. It was like I had Browns plus 3.5 in the London game. I had Browns plus 3.5 and under 36.5. Both of those lost on the late Vikings touchdown. And that was kind of how the entire day went for me from a betting standpoint. But the DeMarcado touchdown was the worst one.
Yeah, man. That is brutal. Brutal. But you know what? You'll have some other spots swing your way.
Yes.
I know you're a level-headed person and you're rational. You'll have some beats that are good, that go your way. And in the end of the day, they balance themselves out as long as you're making good plays.
Yeah, I was a total chalk donkey for DFS yesterday. So here's how it goes the other way. I had so much exposure to the Jets offense as a stack and had a lot of good DFS lineups. None of them justified getting there at all. I think I ended up with like 60% of Justin Fields and 40% of Garrett Wilson yesterday. Good lineups. Zero business being good lineups.
Yep. I get it. Totally get it. I took some shots yesterday. Some hit, some didn't. Like I tried to get a little overweight on Derrick Henry because I'm looking at that and seeing a 1.5 point spread. In my head, I'm going, the Texans should be 5-6 point favorites here. Why are they 1.5 point favorites? You know what I mean? Like the whole Baltimore something. Well, the only way that this game stays competitive is if Derrick Henry has a game. It just went the other way. I'm okay taking chances like that. But also to your point, almost all of my lineups had some combination of like Dowdle, Taylor, Breece Hall, Rachaad White, those guys. I just mixed up 1 or 2 spots. And if you look at the Millie winner, chalky Millie winner that had a Emeka Egbuka in it. Like it was a chalky Millie winner. Can't stress it enough, man. Sometimes 1 or 2 spots. And chalk largely has hit this year. Doesn't mean it's going to be every week. But when you get a $4,300 Dowdle against a team that doesn't actually have a real defense in Miami, I'm not saying you should expect 200 rushing yards necessarily. But you, at $4,300, it's just pretty obvious. So, again, Greg, there are certain spots that maybe you can overthink a little bit. I don't want to overthink those types of spots.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there was guys like Rachaad White. I mean, even like I played a lot of Rachaad White. That was largely lucky. He was not efficient at all. He just scored 2 touchdowns. So couldn't have run better from DFS, which definitely canceled out some of the bad run out from betting. But to your other point, as well, number one, chalk, yes, has largely been hitting this year. And then also, yeah, just keep making the plays that you think are best. There's going to be some good run out. There's going to be some bad run out. But don't focus too much on the bad run out because you might overlook that you've probably gotten lucky as many times as you've gotten unlucky.
Exactly. All right. Let's get into it. Eric Ronas, by the way, thank you for the super chat, brother. Got married on Saturday. Chopped the 200K UFC tournament that night as well. 6 UFC tourney wins since July. Sims are killing it there. Love to hear it, man. I'll tell you guys how to get the Sims for free. MMA Sims as well, if you'd like, a little bit later in the show. Let's get into it. Where do you want to start on today? And by the way, zoom in on the Sims a little so people can see all of that. It's going to be hard if you're on a phone. Actually, it's hard for me on
Yeah.
a desktop.
Yeah, so I'll go over to some of the. By the way, can people see the? I know like the individual lineups could be a little difficult to see, but can you guys see fine just the player exposures when this is here? I like generally curiously asking for you guys. But as far as the players go for the slate, I think it is probably most worth talking about the Chiefs pass catchers, just because what do we want to do is with Xavier Worthy when you consider the injury scenario. And maybe even if he's unexpectedly ruled out, what that could do with the Chiefs. Because I do think this is kind of going to be the key to figuring out this entire slate is which Chiefs pass catchers do we want to roster tonight.
Yeah, this is the I hate playing Chiefs Showdown games. Like I genuinely despise it. It's been even worse when you didn't have Xavier Worthy because you're deciding between, Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster. They don't even have like a solidified backfield at this point either, which sucks. Like, yeah, you have Kareem Hunt, and then you have Isaiah Pacheco. These guys have rushing props of like 28 yards today, Greg. And then you saw last week, Brashard Smith got worked in as well and saw 26% of the snaps. So this team is gross. Just ambiguity across every single thing that they do right now. I would say this much. If, let's just say, Worthy is not able to go, I think Tyquan Thornton, even at his price point, becomes someone that we should once again be considering. Against the Giants in the last game he played before Worthy returned, 9 targets. I know this because I bet him to score a touchdown, and I would have won the lottery if he didn't go down at the fucking 1 yard line. So I remember this vividly. 5 of 9, 71 yards and a touchdown. He also had that one again, went down at the 1. He was actually getting some opportunities. He's been getting a lot of deep targets on the year, but then you saw last week where he got basically nothing and played far fewer snaps with Xavier Worthy returning. He took the biggest hit out of anybody in the offense. It wasn't, Juju. He actually played more snaps last week. It wasn't Hollywood Brown. It was Tyquan Thornton. So if Worthy ends up not playing, Thornton gets the biggest boost, in my opinion, for sure.
Yeah, so you see Tyquan Thornton. He is currently at $5,200. And the thing that's funny is I think that if Worthy is good to go, he's probably the hardest guy to click on of any of the Chiefs receivers. But I do agree with you that in the event that Worthy is out, he all of a sudden presents the most upside and he becomes probably the most desirable Chiefs pass catcher to get to relative to his price point. And so what ends up happening with Worthy in there is that he is kind of just a better version of Thornton across the board. And he is the guy who can extend the defenses. He's a deep threat for Mahomes as well. But when you don't have Worthy there, then all of a sudden Thornton, he becomes like a poor man's version of Xavier Worthy. So I do agree with you. If Worthy does end up being out or we find out he's going to be limited in some kind of way, Thornton becomes my favorite Chiefs pass catcher to get to. But then in the inverse, where Worthy plays and we find out he's good to go, I don't want any of Thornton.
Neither do I. No, you can't. Not at that price point. He should be like $700 or $800, honestly, if Xavier Worthy comes back. Maybe $1,200. But I'll tell you, Tyquan Thornton, listen to this. Through their first 3 games, the deep targets in Kansas City, it was 2 to Marquise Brown, 1 to Noah Gray, 1 to Travis Kelce, right? Those were your deep targets for Patrick Mahomes. Do you know how many Tyquan Thornton had?
Tell me. I don't know.
11. 11 deep targets through 3 games, which is a ridiculous number. Clearly Patrick Mahomes was looking his way. I remember in week 1 against the Chargers in Brazil on that Friday night game, Thornton had 3 deep targets in the first half. But then last week, Xavier Worthy comes back. Thornton has 0. Xavier Worthy has 4 deep targets. Just fully supplanted Tyquan Thornton and is, of course, better. So that would be my guy. We're getting out of the way early. I think it's helpful, though, because if we're doing the strategy show and we don't have news on that, that's what I would do. I think we're in agreement, right? Like Thornton gets the biggest bump, but he also is downgraded more than anybody else if Xavier Worthy is, in fact, active.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see what ends up happening there. But otherwise, I do totally agree with you in terms of what I want to be doing with Tyquan Thornton. Also, wanted to address this really quick, as Mr. Go Blue said, what do I attribute my greater success on Owner's Box to versus other sites? I've profited on FanDuel, DraftKings, and Owner's Box so far this year. But here's the number one thing: overlay. They've had contests that have only filled halfway for it. That wasn't the case this weekend, but for the first 4 weeks of the year, contests only filled halfway over on Owner's Box, like halfway to 70%. Over on FanDuel, also, they've done things like guaranteed overlay contests. So when it's what are things that I could point to outside of my control that are leading to better results on one site or another, it's pretty simple to say that when you're playing on one site where the contest is only half full compared to playing on another site where it fills all the way, you're just so much more likely to have success on the site with overlay. Think about it like if you were betting on sports. You have the option to bet the Jaguars tonight at +3.5 at even money on one site, or you have the option to bet the Jaguars +3.5 on another site at -120. The outcome is the outcome, but you're so much more likely over time just have better results when you're taking that better line. That's kind of the same thing with overlay. And there's been a lot of it available this year for NFL.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Also, I just recorded a video on for Thursday Night Football. Come check it out over on OddsShopper if you haven't done so yet. It'll be up shortly. But I had mentioned that when I look at my results for NFL this year, I'm profitable betting the NFL. But Greg, the majority of that is because I've been betting boosts. And it's not like I'm limited on these boosts too. But when you win, you're just getting paid so much more. If you're going to bet something anyway, the majority of the time you're going to lose those big parlay boosts. But over time, it can legitimately make the difference between a winning and a losing season. And I think you could say the same thing about, chasing overlay as well.
Yeah. So it's just kind of simple math there. I mean, there's been contests on Owner's Box earlier on the year where you won money just by the nature of entering because of how much overlay there was. There was GPPs that were only full like 20% of the way.
All right, so let's get back to the Sims here. And I want to talk about captains. Now, if we're looking at, are we both hitting it at the same time? Sorry, I'm used to being self-producer extraordinaire around here, but you're on top of it. Captain ownership, Patrick Mahomes. So Einsteinium, I believe that was you a moment ago that mentioned, let me see, was it you, Einsteinium? To your point, Loughy, wouldn't that push people to play Mahomes a lot at captain spot and everywhere? Yeah, I mean, look, if Xavier Worthy plays, I'm just going to play him. I really don't care. I'm someone that is willing to take stands on these type of guys. Now, you could take the contrarian stand and be like, I'm not playing Xavier Worthy and hoping that he's not 100%. But Andy Reid historically has kind of held these guys out when they're not good to go. Every time, does it not feel, Greg, like every time Andy Reid does say a guy is going to play, they play, and maybe this is anecdotal, but they always end up playing fine. Like Patrick Mahomes, high ankle sprain in the postseason. You're like, man, there's no way he plays next week. And then he plays the next week, and I bet the under on rushing yards. I bet the under on this. He rushes for like 40 yards in the first half and throws 4 touchdowns in the game. When these guys play, they seem to be okay. So if Worthy's out there, I want him. And him and Patrick Mahomes would be my 2 favorite captains. The one that jumps off the page to me is Brian Thomas, man. You look at him this year, he's going to see a lot of Trent McDuffie today. McDuffie is an absolute stud. Not only that, but Brian Thomas, no quarterback has had his pass catchers drop more passes than Trevor Lawrence. 13 drops through 4 weeks. And Brian Thomas has been a primary culprit there. So does that mean he can't pop off today? No, but I don't actually love Brian Thomas as much as I think the data likes him right now. And one of the reasons specifically for that is that when you look at his price point, this guy is north of $10,000. Can he have a big game? Of course he can, but it's a tough matchup. This is a formidable Chiefs defense, and you're paying 10-2 for Brian Thomas, who thus far throughout the first month of the season, he has not shown us that he is anywhere close to a $10,000 in the flex wide receiver.
Yeah, so here's where I'm conflicted here. If his ownership actually holds here, then he's expensive and he's fairly popular. My intuition, though, is that Brian Thomas at this price point, because of his early season production, is going to end up coming in much lower owned than projected. And in that kind of scenario, if that ends up being the case, then I do view him as a good buy, as a good spend up option to differentiate some lineups. Once again, going to need a little bit more information here. If he's actually going to be 33% owned in the flex and 7% owned in the captain spot, different scenario. But if we end up getting him like 1-2% owned in the captain spot and he's like 20% owned in the flex, then I'm going to be pretty interested in him as a contrarian option because I still think he's really talented. There's a reason why this guy was getting drafted end of the first round, beginning of the second round in fantasy drafts and best ball this year. It just hasn't gone his way so far this year. He's played poorly. He's had some bad drops. I don't think it means that he's lacking in talent. It's just the first, and this has also been something that's happened with a lot of the second year. For whatever reason, this has played a lot of the second year wide receivers this year. We saw it with Marvin Harrison, and then Marvin Harrison had himself a couple of big plays, and he looked just fine over the weekend. Cardinals lost the game, but that was one of the most nonsensical games I've ever seen in my entire life.
Don't get me started on that, dude. Brian Callahan did not deserve to win that game. That was
not at all. Not at all.
And right after I tweeted, Brian Callahan probably won't board the flight home. Arizona, just a cascade of miscues, man. All right, so here's why you being conflicted has me even more conflicted. All right, so let's put it in the spin cycle here. I think your logic is mostly correct. Here's where I think it might be a little bit off. And I want you to tell me what you think here, right? There just aren't many pay-up options. Xavier Worthy's 8,800. Everybody else, like Travis Kelce's, he's a shell of his former self. Hollywood Brown, Pacheco is 6,200 and probably still overpriced at 6,200. So normally I'd say, to your point and to Eric Ronas's point, because he was in agreement with you, they said the price is probably the only reason I want to play him because no one's going to want to play him. I think by default, people just get the Brian Thomas at that price point simply because they can. And on any other slate, if it were against the Eagles, you have Barkley, Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, who had a huge game yesterday, or against some of these teams that just have a slew of quality pass catchers, and now you've got 8 guys at 9,500 or above, all of whom are great plays. Yeah, but I don't see that on this slate at all.
That's logical. That could certainly end up being the case. Let's see what's some of the ownership on the other pay-up guys. So ETN is 47% owned. Like, do I think he's going to be 60 to 70% owned? Probably not. Trevor Lawrence is all right. I think our ownership projection could probably be higher on Trevor Lawrence. We have Lawrence at 63% overall. I wouldn't be surprised if Lawrence was 70 to 80%. Maybe that's one guy who could be a little bit more popular. Worthy. If Worthy doesn't end up playing, then people just by default are going to end up flocking to Brian Thomas. So yeah, that's a valid point. It may just be that there are so few pay-up guys on the slate that to fill out all their salary, people just play Brian Thomas anyway.
Yep. Yo, let's do this. And we can zoom in to make it easier for people once we go to lineups, because I know they can be hard to read. Let's look at lineups and see what the Brian Thomas lineups look like.
Yeah, so some of the Brian Thomas lineups. And then do you want to look at Brian Thomas in the captain spot or just overall?
Either's fine with me. I just figure this will give us a better idea of what these builds look like. And generally just how easy is it to play Brian Thomas? Because I haven't built any lineups yet. I'm on the ground floor with all of you guys this morning.
All right. So here we've got lineups filtered just by ones that have Brian Thomas. And let's see. So here are the ones that are using all, or at least the majority of the salary. This is Brian Thomas in the captain spot. And then it's got Cam Little, Harrison Butker, Kareem Hunt, Patrick Mahomes, and Trevor Lawrence. So that fits in, fairly comfortably. This one leaves a bunch of salary on the table. Here's one. It has Harrison Butker in the captain spot with Brian Thomas, the Chiefs defense, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy. So it is a 5-1 Chiefs stack. Let's see. Here's one that uses most of the salary as well. Brian Thomas. There are definitely some consolations that are made in these lineups. Like this one here has Cam Little and Harrison Butker in it. If you scroll down, this one is Butker in the captain spot to fit in Brian Thomas. This one has Diami Brown in the captain spot. This one is Brian Thomas, but then, this one's a little bit more reasonable. Brian Thomas, Brenton Strange, Cam Little, Juju Smith-Schuster, Pat Mahomes, and Trevor Lawrence. Maybe it isn't as easy to fit them in as it looks at first, because there are some lineups here that don't look like they would be all that popular.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, but if we'll do this. Hold on a second. Sort by most duped.
Yeah, let's see. Most dupe. There aren't. Most of the Brian Thomas lineups are not heavily duped. The most duped Brian Thomas lineup is 45 uses.
Okay. But also, okay, that's a chalky build too. What are the most? Yeah, actually they are though. If those are our most duped right there. Right?
Yeah, we aren't projecting for very many dupes for this slate. The ownership's kind of spread out.
So I'm looking at it. What, 4 of the top 5 have Thomas?
Yeah. So the number 2 lineup is Thomas. The number 3 lineup is Thomas. This is just in terms of dupes, not ROI. 4 lineup is Thomas. The 5 lineup is Thomas. So yeah, the most dupe lineup doesn't have him, but the next 4 out of 5 do.
Interesting. So we're going to find out, and we'll have updated ownership and projections throughout the day. Sir asks, question, are we forgetting Mac Jones was his QB last year, not Lawrence? Well, Lawrence played 10 games. Mm-hmm. So, you guys know.
It's not like, but boy, how much has the narrative changed on Mac Jones from just a couple of weeks ago?
Dude, not me. I've been on Mac Jones from the jump, and you can check the tape on that one.
It is funny that we've gone from nobody wanting to play Mac Jones at min price and saying he's unplayable to now Brian Thomas was only good last year because Mac Jones was his quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, silly. Mac Jones is not that bad. Like, I don't know who has to be told that Mac Jones with the pay. I watch so much preseason football, and it's like, it's a badge of shame, I guess you could say. But Mac Jones in all of these preseason opportunities he's gotten, I know he's going up at times against like the twos. You look at him and you go, this guy is like dominating these guys, dominating all of these guys. He's not that bad. But Trevor Lawrence, when you have 13 drops from your pass catchers, like Sylvester Twinkie says, that's a nice name. Trevor Lawrence is that bad? I don't think so. I don't think he's terrible. No. Rance, one good game. Now he's Joe Montana. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that no, he's not Joe Montana. He's not as bad as people said though. Like, dude, I mentioned it on the deeper dive a couple of weeks ago, and so many people in chat were like, Mac Jones is terrible. He's the worst quarterback in football. That's what Greg's saying. No one's anointing him as like the next Tom Brady. It's just he's not nearly as bad as he's been tagged. So whatever. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Zane, most of Thomas' boom scores came with Jones last year. Doesn't have a great connection with Lawrence. Could change. Is that true? Do you guys mind? Because I really don't know, and I don't know if you remember, Greg. I would be really interested if one of you guys could go in and pull up his best games with Mac and with Brian Thomas. That would actually be super helpful if anyone's around the computer or has the time to do so. Would appreciate that. But my favorite captains probably are Worthy and Mahomes right now, Greg.
Yeah, so looking at what we have showing up in the Sims for the captains, it is Mahomes showing up in a ton of lineups. He's going to be the chalk here overwhelmingly. I mean, we got him projected for 33% ownership. Then you got Worthy 16% owned, Lawrence 13% owned. I'm not super high on playing Lawrence in the captain spot. You guys have heard me say this on Showdown shows a lot over the last couple of years. In general, if I'm going to roster a quarterback in that MVP spot on FanDuel, the captain spot on DraftKings, I need them to have rushing upside. Mahomes has shown that this year. He's actually been really willing to run the football this year. That's just not really something we're going to see a ton of out of Trevor Lawrence in terms of creating a massive amount of fantasy upside. So I'd rather look elsewhere. There are some off the board contrarian plays that I like for the captain spot as well as for the flex. One in particular, Loughy. For the pay up guys, if people are going to Mahomes, if you're going to Xavier Worthy, they're the two most popular captains. I think that is totally warranted. I do have one contrarian guy that I like quite a bit. Do you want to take a guess who it might be?
Yeah. Is he on the Jags?
No.
I mean, is it Hollywood?
It is not.
Kelsey?
All right. I think there is
Yeah, because I don't know who it is.
Okay. So I think there's a strong chance that Brashard Smith is the leading back for the Chiefs this weekend and for going forward. I don't think it is the most likely scenario, but I think it is a scenario. And we right now have Smith. Let's see. He's not showing up at all in the captain spot. In the flex, he's currently projected for 5% ownership at $3,200. All of the reporting that we've seen come out of surrounding the Chiefs is that Smith is expected to get more involvement in the offense this week and going forward. And then it seems like whenever Patrick Mahomes is giving a press conference, he goes out of his way to talk about Brashard Smith this week. And I'm kind of reading that as they are looking to feature him going forward. It has not been a very good year for Isaiah Pacheco. Kareem Hunt is old and washed at this point. Brashard Smith is kind of a little bit more of an unknown, but he has definitely showed some potential when he stepped on the field this year. So if you look at Brashard Smith overall, the thing that stands out the most to me is last week, 4 targets in the passing game. Are we going to see him get 4, 5, 6 targets? Patrick Mahomes said that in practice, they're using him a decent amount as a wide receiver. He said this guy could do anything. He could line up in the backfield. He could line up as a wide receiver. He could run routes. I think they are going to be using him in that kind of role going forward. So I think that him at low ownership, $3,200 price tag in the flex, $4,800 in the captain, I think there's unrealized upside.
I don't hate it at all. I also want to wait to see what his props look like. Rushing plus receiving could be nice there if we get a good number, Greg. I've been looking for that all day. It's not up. There's none up. Don't worry. You don't have to look. I was just looking now, but I looked earlier this morning as well, thinking there might be an opportunity there. You know what it reminds me of? In week 3, coming out of the week 2 loss against Seattle. Remember Jaylen Warren had that huge catch and run, like a 65-yard catch and run or whatever it was. And you had Aaron Rodgers. Now, week 4 doesn't count, and they had a bye this week, but week 4, Jaylen Warren was a late addition to the injury report, ended up not playing. And I believe it was the Dublin game. But they go, you had Aaron Rodgers being like, look, this guy's really good. Like, he called him one of the best running backs in the league. And he's like, he's an RB1, and I want to get him more involved. And then the next game, heavily involved, Jaylen Warren. You know, a lot of targets, a lot of opportunities. They go on and get the win there. It is reminiscent of that. Quarterbacks being like, look, let me use the guys that I want to use more. You know, let me use the guys that I want to get involved more. And Kareem Hunt is just a guy, right? He is who he is. He's a plodding running back. He'll pick up 3 or 4 at a time. He'll punch it in at the goal line pretty successfully. Pacheco is a shell of his old self. I'm with you. I think that's an interesting spot. What about Tootin on the other side of this game, though?
Yeah, so as far as Tootin goes, I thought we were going to start to see more work out of him after the Tank Bigsby trade, which I guess to an extent is true because he only got 3 rushing attempts in week 1. But Tootin's just kind of getting the leftovers from ETN at this point. Last week, 4 rush attempts, 1 target. That's what we're seeing from him, 4, 5, 6 targets per game. Also, if I'm not mistaken, I had seen this posted somewhere online as well. As far as big plays go, of all of the running backs this year who have gotten at least 20 carries, I believe he's the only one this season that doesn't have a run longer than 10 yards. So he's not really shown a lot of upside so far to this point. At $2,800, sure, he's in play, but I'd rather take chances on Smith.
I think I would too. Just a lot more ambiguity in that backfield than there is in Jacksonville because, you know, you laid it out there. But Travis Etienne's been pretty good. You know, he's been pretty good. So it's a tough matchup. I have no problem with Brashard Smith here. And if you're going to get him at, what is he, 3,200 in the flex? No problem there. Are we getting any Smith at captain or at flex?
Not at captain, but not really. So the answer is not really. He showed up in one out of 150 lineups.
One thing I like to do, this is actually how I got to that Jake Browning lineup that I almost took down the fair catch with yesterday, someone was like, how did this sim out in the single lineup sim? And I said, I don't know, but it would sim out well because all I did, Greg, I went into the sims, I ran it on 10,000, into these pre-contest sims right here. And I went and filtered by Jake Browning and Jamar Chase. And I wanted a single stack. I wanted a skinny stack. And I picked the one I liked, right? That's all I did. There's other things you can do like Greg does, which I think is a really great way to get exposure and not too much. Give a guy a huge boost, right? Or maybe a stack a massive boost, but then cap them at like 10%. So you're guaranteed to get that exposure that you want, but you're also not going over and getting an exorbitant amount. So a lot of different ways to do it. That's the way that's the way I like to do it. And I'm okay with doing that with Smith today. Either boost him or Greg, say you're playing like a single entry or maybe a 20 max. I might say, give me 5 lineups with Brashard Smith. And I go into the sims and I'll pull the top simmed ROI lineups with Brashard Smith.
Yeah, we've got, let's see, we got Smith for 3.95 fantasy points, Pacheco 7.73, and then where do we have Kareem Hunt? We've got Hunt at 8.05. One other thing that I might do for this as well, I generally say that the best way to go about adjusting your exposure just by doing the ROI boost, but I also might change some of the projections here and like take a point away from Kareem Hunt, take a point away from Isaiah Pacheco and give those fantasy points to Smith instead. That's also something I might do before running the sims.
There's a lot of ways you can do it for sure. I do want to see what some of our flex exposure looks like here, because at captain, I have a pretty decent idea of what I want to do. I'm with you that we could take some weird shots on some of these, lower owned guys at captain. Also, and someone mentioned this in chat earlier, I totally agree with it, mentioned it in my betting show this morning. Both of these defenses are good, right? Like the Jags defense is not getting the respect that they deserve. It's been a good defense. They're getting pressure. Their coverage, their run defense has been good. Especially if you don't have 100% Xavier Worthy, this could end up being one of these weird double kicker type games. Absolutely. Double kicker in a defense or something like that. So I wanted to see, Greg, what our kicker exposures looked like on a slate like this. And we're getting 41% Harrison Butker. And what do we have? What do we have on Cam Little?
Yeah. So for Little, we
looks
have
like
him in. Yeah, so we're overweight to both of the kickers, 23% of Cam Little, and then more overweight to Butker, though, who's in 41% of lineups. Last night, another good kicker slate. I mean, how many more slates do we have to have where kickers do well and people? It's the easiest hack, probably to all of NFL DFS right now, is if you're playing showdowns, just go overweight to the kickers. It's just so often going to have you ahead of the field. We just see it time and time again. They're underrepresented by the field. It happened again last night.
Yep. It happens very, very frequently. Anyway, I wanted to point this out too, because dude, the sims just, we had a lot of big wins yesterday. I had a guy DM me. He won 100K, said he's been watching the show for a long time. I know him well. We had another 15K winner. Just some absolutely massive wins. Jared Douglas just signed up with Onyx, going to try these sims out. Do it, man. And look, you don't always just have to you don't always have to go, hey, I'm just going to run factory settings and take the lineups that they give me. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. There's so many different ways you can do it to get lineups you want, but also lineups that are genuinely simming out well, right? You don't, if you want to take the top 20 lineups, you're still building good lineups, but feel free to pull some quarterbacks that you like, some stacks that you like within the lineups that have already been simmed. That type of stuff can be super helpful. And I do that every single week when I'm talking single entry stuff, right? It's one of my favorite ways to do it. I go in, run the sims with the certain player pool, certain payout the first, and then I do it that way. And I pull some lineups I want. I change it up a little bit to see what my exposures look like. But Greg, just yesterday, man, Wency 305. Here you go. Thank you, Stokastic, for a great week 4 weekend. The sims are incredible. Recommend it to anyone. Everyone should join the great community. 20K win there. We had here. I love this too. Thanks for the tools to grind small stakes contests. Yes, that's why we have the link join in the mini max from Nope. A lot of these 2,000, another 2,000 rocking the avatar. Just some big wins yesterday. I genuinely love to see it. And if you guys are not over here yet, you can get the Sims for free. You can get them for free without having to do anything, right? You can do it without having to do anything outside of just simply signing up with any of the sportsbook partners that we have to offer. Greg, I can throw it on the screen here, make it easy for everybody to see how this works. All right, so here's what you do. If you're new to this or you haven't done it yet and now you've decided that you want to try it out, do this, all right? Go into the link in the description that says sign up with our sportsbook partners, get the Sims free. After you do that, okay, just simply all you have to do is click claim offer right here. Onyx is spend $10 and get $100 in Onyx cash. You can't beat that. A lot of people have been doing that one lately, right? Do that, click claim offer, make a deposit, spend 10 on Onyx or $10 deposit on Caesars, place a bet, or if you're on a pick'em site and you don't have legal betting in your state, all of these are included as well. The moment that settles, send us an email at support@stokastic.com with the screenshot of your settled bet or pick'em lineup and your welcome email, and just tell us what sport you want. We had someone say he chopped the $200K for UFC. If you signed up for Onyx and BetMGM, you can get a month of NFL and a month of UFC. If you signed up for 4 of these, you can free roll the entire NFL season. Straight no-brainer, man. And we added Onyx like 2 weeks ago. Spend 10, get 100 in Onyx cash, which is the equivalent of cash. Can't beat it, man. There's no better offer. So that's the easiest way to get in on all of this.
Yeah, you're not only getting a free month of Sims, you're also getting the bonus offers at these different sites. So
Yep.
it is plus EV stacked on top of plus EV. It's a hat on a hat on a hat.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So make sure to take advantage of it, and you can stack as many months as you want until you no longer have any available books or pick'em sites. 21 years or older to gamble. Gambling problem. Caller text 1-800-GAMBLER. Long says, Loughy, how you feeling about Stroud and the Texans today? Dude, I liked them a lot yesterday. You watched the show, no? I was saying it all week with the decimated Ravens D. Yeah.
Are you still considering betting the Ravens to win the division?
I said that before everyone on the defense was hurt. That was just the Lamar Jackson thing. Dude, I don't know right now. Actually, it depends on the odds. I would consider it.
They're still minus money to win the division.
No way. No, I thought if they lost this week and they did get blown out, that I could get them at decent plus money. No. That's no. Definitely not.
Yeah, they've got a lot of ground to make up on the Steelers now. I'm not keen on betting the Steelers at plus money either. But I was following you a little bit on the Ravens last week. I was like, oh, let's see what the odds are. And then I saw it today. They're still minus money, and it looks like Lamar is still out 1, maybe 2 more weeks, and they might get into a really big hole. And even when he's back, their defense is so dog shit that they might still end up not winning a bunch of games.
Yeah, just way too many injuries right now, man. Way too many injuries. Brian, can't remember his name, but the guy Loughy interviewed last month gave great advice too. Yeah, it was Morgan. He took down the main event in MLB, and then 2 weeks ago won the Millie in NFL, and then last week finished second in the Millie. You should check that out for sure. All right, Greg, if we're looking at exposures to flex, it looks like a lot of Mahomes, a lot of Lawrence, a lot of Worthy and Butker. We actually don't have that much Brian Thomas combined today is the weird thing.
Yeah, we've got 29% of him in the flex and 14. Yes, we got 43% of him overall. We're right about in line with the field. We're a little bit overweight because he's projected for aggregate 41% ownership with 43% of them, but we're getting to him, a little bit more in the captain than we are in the flex, which I think there's such a wide range of outcomes with Brian Thomas based on how he's played to start the year. If I am going to roster him, I prefer him in the captain spot to the flex because I want to try to get the upside game from him. But yeah, we're not getting to a ton of them in the flex, 29%.
Jay Ramos, would you recommend playing both quarterbacks in the same lineup in single entry? Yeah, I don't think you have anything against that either today.
No. I mean, these are the two players we get the most exposure to in the flex. Patrick Mahomes overall is in 94% of our lineups here. Then we've got Trevor Lawrence showing up in 60% of lineups. Yeah, there's zero issue at all with playing the two quarterbacks in the same lineup. That is those are going to be the two players I have the most exposure to.
How much Travis Hunter do we have? Because this is a guy that I may look to boost today. If Trent McDuffie does spend a lot of time on Travis Hunter, or I'm sorry, on Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter may just be kind of a sneaky spot here. He hasn't had the type of game that's going to draw interest yet, which is good. So I think there may be an opportunity here for us to get him as a low-owned option, 15% in the flex. I can't imagine anyone's playing him in the captain. I don't love him at captain either, but in the flex, I kind of don't mind Travis Hunter here. The only thing I don't love, he's probably overpriced.
Yeah, he's $6,600. And if you look at his workload so far this year, he's their third receiver. Brian Thomas clearly is the one who's getting the most looks. Parker Washington is probably second in the pecking order now. And then you've got Travis Hunter third-ish. Although you could even make a case that Diami Brown, based on snap counts, has kind of been ahead of Travis Hunter this year. The question becomes, is this a game where they want to play Travis Hunter more on offense or defense? This has just been the killer to him for fantasy this year. I mean, other than the fact that he just overall also hasn't put up, big games, but how much can we really expect him to produce when he also is playing a role on defense? And I think his role has, in general, skewed a little bit more towards defense than what a lot of us were expecting come into the season. I do think he's a pretty tough click at $6,600. Not because he's without talent, but to your point, he's way more expensive than he should be given what his role has been this year. And then also you've got, let's see, do we have Diami Brown showing up in lineups? Yeah, so he's showing up in lineups. Remember, Diami Brown was out last week. In week 1, Diami Brown played 71% of snaps. In week 2, he played 80% of snaps. Week 3, he only played 33% of snaps, but that was because he got hurt midway through the game. Prior to that, he was also somebody who was playing more than Travis Hunter.
Yep. That's right. So Travis Hunter, I'm looking at it now. As far as routes run per dropback go, he has run 104 routes on and you have 154 dropbacks. So 68% routes run per dropback. That's not terrible. I can pull up last week too to see what it looked like. As you mentioned, Brown was out, but 33 dropbacks. Was Brown out last week?
Yeah. Brown was out last week and he missed half of week 3.
That's right. Yeah. Was it a concussion? No, it was a shoulder. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it's a tough click, but I guess it depends on ownership too. Marcus Witherspoon, what's up, dude? Thanks for the super chat. Sweet. 2024, Thomas with Lawrence, 37 catches, 607 yards, 3 touchdowns, and that was like 9.5 games. Thomas and Jones, this is 7 games, 50 catches, 674, and 5 touchdowns. With that said, if either team scores 20 plus apiece, I expect Thomas to be productive, so I'm taking my shots. Yeah, man, nobody would blame you for that. It's not a slate where you've got a lot of very expensive players either. But thank you for that information.
There is, by the way, one other thing that does make that information also a little tricky. Obviously, Brian Thomas was a rookie last year. You just expect rookies to get better as the season goes on. So not to say that Mac Jones didn't contribute to this, but there's also reality that just a rookie wide receiver, you would expect them to be better in, say, week 15 than week 1. So he was also playing the start of the season with Trevor Lawrence, the end of the season with Mac Jones. I just don't know how much to make of his success with the two different quarterbacks last year, because overall it was sort of similar.
For sure. No, that's a fair point. Brendan, Loughy, what you've been saying lately, just needing 1 or 2 contrarian guys has changed the way I built lineups, been profitable 3 straight weeks now. Awesome. Yeah, look, it's not going to work every week, but trying to get super weird and having 8 guys sub 5% is typically a long-term losing process for sure. And I can say from experience. Donnie, Worthy will play tonight according to Rappaport. Yeah, we talked about it. The reports are that he will play. Greg and I were simply suggesting that reporting is not concrete, and either he plays and he's fine, he doesn't play, or he plays and he's not fine. But do you think we can build lineups with that? Do you think you'll have any specific builds with the idea that like Worthy's active but he's not 100%?
I I'll say we need more information before I do it. There is a possibility, because I'll do these sorts of things at times. There's definitely a possibility that I'll do like our normal projections, and then I'll create a second set of projections where worthy is limited. And then if I'm playing 150 lineups, I might take 75 using the normal projections, and then 75 lineups where it's like worthy is projected for, say, like 10 fantasy points instead of 15, and then it reallocate some of the work that he would get to guys like Thornton and to Hollywood Brown, and then maybe give a little bit more to Travis Kelce. So there's a possibility that I would do something like that, where I do two different projection sets and run the sims on both of them, but would need a little bit more information before I actually say that I'm for sure going to be doing something like that.
Einsteinium, you mentioned the Jags defense this year, Loughy. These Chiefs skill guys are average at best. Is this a sneaky spot? I don't hate the Jags defense. Yeah, no, I don't know how much we're getting to them at flex, Greg. It's probably not a spot I want to captain the Jags D, but no, I don't hate the idea of that at all. Especially if you think maybe Worthy is not 100%, they're getting pressure. You know, Hines Allen is sick. Like these guys get pressure on the quarterback. Now, Patrick Mahomes is definitely elusive, and he can escape that. And if he does, he will absolutely make you pay. And that's something that we have to keep in mind. But no, they've got a good defense. They've got a good defense. So do we have any in flex? What's that?
Yeah, I think both these teams have really good defenses.
They do. Watch double defense wins this today.
Wouldn't be the craziest thing. Wouldn't be the most likely thing either. I wonder if we have, let's see, double defense lineups. See if there's any of them that are showing up towards the top.
And by the way, while Greg looks for this, if you guys are not over on Tails yet, come join us, man. We are having a phenomenal time over there, and everybody can join, and everyone can join 100% free. There's no credit card. There's nothing like that. You just sign up. That's it. You sign up. Here you go. Look at this. We got some people on board here looking at, there you go. Most profit. Loughy's on the board. Greg, you were up top on the board yesterday going into this one. Where are we at on the leaderboards here? Are you still number? Oh, look at that, Greg, still top dog in likes. But no, you go into the picks feed, tails.bet, or just use the link in the description. Follow me, follow Greg. Josh has got some MLB DFS stuff up already today. Already. Let me hit him with a flame since he just posted these. Greg's got some bets up. I posted a parlay already today. 50% super boost over there. And I'd say also, if we get some Brashard Smith props that we like, this is where they'll go. They're not going to go on YouTube. They probably won't go on Twitter. They'll go here. And if you're on Twitter and you like betting and you like DFS content, but you're tired of constantly, one day you accidentally got riled up over someone's post. So you started tweeting and you started engaging with it. And now the X algorithm is only feeding you bullshit. And you scour to the ends of the earth to find decent information for football, for betting, for DFS. That's no longer a problem. Everything over on Tails, number one, it's free, just as it would be on any other feed. But also, it's only this content. That's all you're getting. And that's what we're here for. This is how we escape the monotonous lives that many of us, this is how we escape the bullshit going on in life over at Tails. That's why we build it. And I think we're building a platform that is fantastic. So come follow us, turn on notifications, check out these new leaderboards, follow anybody you want, and enjoy it with us. Let's have an awesome NFL season. So if you're not there yet, tails.bet, or just use that link in the description. Follow Greg, follow me, follow Josh, follow all these other great experts over there as well. And let's make some money. Anyway, let's see what we got.
One other thing to add. Same thing I've done for some other showdown slates I'm going to be doing tonight as well. So after we get off the show, I am going to post top 5 sim ROI lineups for FanDuel and DraftKings using the sim. So you guys can use that for reference later. And for each person that likes that post, you're going to have yourself a chance to win a free Stokastic NFL sim subscription. All you have to do is go over to tails.bet. I'm going to have, or download the app, I'm going to have pinned to my profile top 5 sim ROI lineups for FanDuel, top 5 sim ROI lineups for DraftKings. Simply like that post, check out the lineups too. Could help you tonight. And that's going to give you a chance to win a free sub.
Yeah, baby. All right. What do we got? 6 of them with double defense?
Yeah, so we've got 6 of the top 150 lineups are double defense. And actually, a couple of them use the majority of the salary. Got this lineup here: ETN in the captain spot, Chiefs, Hollywood Brown, Jaguars, Mahomes, and Worthy. And then the second lineup here, Worthy in the MVP spot, Jaguars defense, Mahomes, Travis Etienne, and then Kelsey. The other lineups we have here leave a bunch of salary on the table. But yeah, these 2 lineups towards the top actually have both defenses sim out really well and use most of the salary.
How many double kicker lineups do we have? That's one thing I want to look at before we get out of here.
Yeah, let's see. Double kicker lineups. This should be a good amount more than double defense. Let's see. Little and Butker. Yeah, this is probably going to be... Yeah, we'll probably get like 5 to 10% that are double kicker, something like that.
Okay. All right.
Oh, never mind. We did not. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, less than I thought. Well, I guess that isn't that much less, but it is a little bit less than I thought there was going to be here.
Stephen Lewis, can we get an autographed pic of Greg? Yeah, send Stephen an autographed picture, dude.
Yeah. I'll do. What do we want? What do we want in the picture?
I don't know. Question. Alan, yes, there's a perfect lineup every Monday, Thursday, and Sunday. Yes, sir. Let's do one more thing before we go. Let's build one out in the single lineup sim. And we'll build one for DraftKings real quick. We'll build one for FanDuel.
All right, so we got the single lineup sim up. I'll change this to a large field. And then what's the payout tonight? So I could see how top heavy to make it. It's sometimes these Monday Night Footballs are super top heavy, depending if they do the milli to first or not. And today, pretty top heavy, not quite as top heavy as some of the other ones, but still, we've got 33.3% of the prize pool first. So I'll put it on 35% here. All right. Where do we want to start? I guess, do we want to make this the players who, because like I like Brashard Smith, but I'm pretty positive he isn't going to sim out well. So maybe we won't include him. What do we want to do? Do we want this to be a lineup of the players we like, or are we trying to aim for to really maximize the sim ROI?
I think we can do both. I agree that it's not going to look amazing with Smith. By the way, I went over to Pick 6, sponsor of today's show, to see if there were any Brashard Smith there. Just a touchdown prop with a 2.9 multiplier. So nothing on Pick 6 yet either.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's nothing for Brashard Smith today.
I think there will be. I just think it'll be later in the day.
Maybe.
We'll see. Let's go captain. I want to captain Xavier Worthy.
Okay.
$8,800 at flex. Captain, what is he? He's not expensive. Makes a lot of sense to me.
I threw Mahomes into the flex. If we have Worthy in the captain, this lineup is basically no chance of coming out looking good if Mahomes isn't in the lineup. So I'll throw in Mahomes. And then also, let's go to Harrison Butker. We've talked about liking the kickers a lot for today. Our data always likes the kicker, so I'm going to throw Butker in here as well.
We should just try Brashard Smith and see what happens. I agree it probably won't sim out great, but he has pass-catching ability, and Mahomes wants to get him the ball. Let's just try it.
Yeah.
Hell, boost this projection to 5. Why not? You're going to do it anyway. Right?
This not inaccurate.
See what happens if we put him at 5.
So we need some Jags exposure. We've got 4 Chiefs players, and just out of necessity, at least one of these final 2 players has to come from the Jaguars.
Yep. Well,
we've got a lot of salary left too.
I mean, I think Brian Thomas has to be. Well, it doesn't have to be, but should we just try one with Brian Thomas since we've talked about it all day and we have differing opinions here, but it's worth seeing how it sims out?
Yeah, so if we threw in Brian Thomas, yeah, so this is going to have to be one of Thomas, Etienne, or Lawrence. But let's go Thomas here. That would give us $7,400 for the final spot. And then it's 7,400. It's almost for sure we would go to Hollywood Brown.
I think we just do the 5-1. And hey, by the way, guys, if you don't mind, hit that thumbs up. I don't know if they have the hype option on live streams or if it's just VODs, but that's a new thing here on Twitter where if you hype the videos, it'll help promote us, which is greatly appreciated. Do that when you watch the perfect lineup video today if it's there. Thanks, guys. Okay, positive sim, not bad, not terrible.
Yeah, the boost that we gave to Brashard Smith definitely helped. By the way, this is if you just want to feel good about yourself to get a good sim ROI, every player you like just boost their projection. You'll be guaranteed to get a positive sim ROI.
Yeah, and bring their ownership down. No, but definitely you could boost the projection. I don't mind doing that on Smith today anyway, so I like it. Let's do one for FanDuel for the people who've been asking and see what happens. Charles Moran, thank you, but totally unnecessary. Josh and EMAC aren't even on this show. Brandon Katz is not here, but thank you. Also, none of that is working because we deactivated it, probably because of you. All right, let's go. Who do you want to go at captain? Who do you think is the optimal captain on FanDuel?
Overwhelmingly Pat Mahomes. Overwhelmingly.
Okay.
Yeah, especially where you don't have the benefit of the full point PPR. There's like it's so much harder to get the same ceiling game out of somebody like Xavier Worthy. And then also you're looking at, for the other potential guys, I don't love Lawrence in the MVP spot. Brian Thomas is somebody who showed up as a contrarian option on DraftKings. But for FanDuel purposes, same deal. We're losing the PPR. It's just overwhelmingly going to be Pat Mahomes shows up in more lineups in the MVP than anybody else.
And I just pulled this up too, Greg. If you're looking for, let me flip over to it. If you're looking for the leverage here this is FanDuel. This is our top single game and showdown top plays tool. I know we use the sims every day in the single lineup sim, but this tool's phenomenal. The boom bust or the top stacks tool for the main slates, but this top single game and showdown plays tool is awesome for the showdown slates, giving you captain ownership, top scoring probability, so that the probability it'll be the highest overall score, and then optimal percentage, not just at captain, but at the flex as well. So if you're looking at the most positively leveraged players, Harrison Butker is the most positively leveraged on FanDuel at 8.3%, Greg.
Interesting.
I don't think it's great. I mean, we have him 35% optimal in the utility over on FanDuel. So we can get back into the sims here, but I wanted to show this to you guys, especially those of you who use the tools but didn't know this even existed. These are a couple that are out there right now that you can use to your advantage for sure. I say we try and plug Butker in here.
All right. So Butker in the MVP spot?
No. Mahomes, you wanted Mahomes at MVP, which I totally agree with.
Okay. I thought maybe you wanted to try, but we could do that. We could go Mahomes and then just go to Butker. Do you want to go Cam Little too and go the double kicker lineup?
Try it.
Yeah. Little, he is also pretty affordable relative to FanDuel. So we've got Mahomes.
We have him
Butker,
positively leveraged
Little.
in the tools as well.
Oh, sorry. Who was that?
I said we have Cam Little positively leveraged in the showdown tool as well.
Nice. This gives us a lot of salary now. Now we've got $8,400 for our average remaining salary.
I'm thinking Worthy again.
Okay. That still gives us 7,300. So let's see. Who can we go to for cheap? Who's the cheap guy who has who's positive outside of the kickers for FanDuel purposes? We've got 7,350 left for our final two spots.
De'Ami Brown is $4,000. Second highest leverage score on the slate. We have him with big time leverage in the utility spot today.
Okay. The one issue if we plug him in is that we then have a lot of leftover salary. So if we went to the next most expensive guy, it would be Kelsey, and we'd be leaving $1,500 in salary on the table.
Well, and we can't get to Travis Etienne.
We cannot.
Hmm.
We could take one of the kickers out, though. We could take, if we took Cam Little out, we'd still have 8,750 left on average for the final 2 spots.
Okay. Oh man, we were at 100 off on Travis Etienne.
Let's just complete the lineup with
do it. Yeah, good idea. Complete it. 10% randomness, by the way, for anyone who is listening on podcast and not watching.
It still threw De'Ami Brown in here, by the way. So we ended up with Mahomes, Worthy, Butker, Hunt, Trevor Lawrence, and De'Ami Brown.
Okay. Brandon, we just ran a Brashard Smith on DraftKings. Going to try and mix this one up a little bit. I do think that 4K De'Ami Brown price point is nice. All right, it's positive. It's not great, but it's positive. We'll take it. Yeah. Anyway, come check the tools out for yourself if you guys haven't done so yet. We'd love to have you over there. Jump in the Discord. Come say hello. Use the single lineup sim. You can do it by simply clicking down there in the description and checking out all of the weekly and monthly packages we have, whether it's one sport or all access, or as Greg and I mentioned earlier, just sign up with any of our partners. That's it. Like, just sign up with any of our partners. Onyx is now spend 10 and get 100 in Onyx cash. It's available in 40 plus states. A ton of other books. If you scroll this, follow those 4 simple steps and you're in. So a million different ways to get the sims and all of the tools at a great price. Legitimately free when you think about it this way, given the bonus action you're getting over on these books. Love to have you guys join us. Greg, anything else before we get out of here?
Yeah, also want to remind you guys to go check out Tails. I'm going to be having that giveaway going over there. It'll be pinned to my profile. I'll be posting those in like 30, 45 minutes, something like that. My top 5 Samurai lineups for FanDuel and DraftKings. Like that post over on Tails. Get yourself a chance to win a free NFL Stokastic Sim sub. And then also want to remind you guys that all new customers play $5 in first pick sets over at DraftKings Pick 6 and get $50 in bonus picks. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Just call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 plus, valid only where Pick 6 operates. See dkng.co/Pick 6 states. Void in New York and Ontario and where prohibited. Eligibility restrictions do apply. 1 per new customer. $5 in first pick sets to receive a max of $50 issued in non-withdrawable bonus pick sets that expire in 14 days. This offer ends on October 13th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Terms and conditions can be found at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. This is sponsored by DraftKings.
Bye-bye.